Alrighty, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the recent Roland Garros final between Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff. And I am an avid tennis watcher, player. I've been playing regularly for the last 2 years, and I've been watching all the matches for the last 2 years. And so I'm very familiar with a lot of the players. I didn't just start watching because I guess Coco went viral. I didn't even know that this went past the usual tennis social media corner of the internet, because my algorithm is just tennis anyway on like Instagram and YouTube. So it appears that this has gone to the masses. I didn't even know, because again, I see tennis all the time anyway, but apparently this is something that even people that don't watch tennis have been noticing or have been paying attention to. And Coco is definitely one of my favorite players. I really wanted her to win Roland Garros. I watched some of the matches, but Roland Garros is hard to watch because of the time difference. And so a lot of the matches would come on, they would start like in the middle of the night or like the early morning, and then they would be done by the time by like mid-afternoon or like early afternoon. So I wasn't able to watch a lot of the matches, but I was happy that I was gonna be able to watch the final because it was on a Saturday, so I had to wake up early to watch it. And sidebar, I set my alarm to watch it, and I fell asleep while I was watching it. I didn't even see, I watched the first set, and then I fell asleep. I missed the whole second set, and then I woke up at the end of the third set. So I kind of didn't watch the whole thing, and I was so excited. Like, I was looking forward to this, and then I couldn't even watch the whole thing. Yeah, I'll say that, yeah, I love Coco. I love, of course, a lot of the black players are a lot of my favorite players. I love Taylor Townsend. She's the #2 doubles player. She's apparently from Chicago. But they said she moved to Atlanta when she was young, so I don't know if she is technically from Chicago, but she's one of my favorite players. Sloane Stephens, Madison Keys, Jasmine Paolini, Alicia Parks. So there's a lot of, sorry if I'm forgetting anybody, but there's a lot of great black tennis players that are very inspirational, and Coco is one of the best. I think she's #2 in the world. So she is definitely a phenomenon. She is a national treasure. When they picked her to be the flag bearer, I said they couldn't have picked a better representation. I love Coco, love her family. I just love the optics. I love whenever they show her family, because it's so relatable. It's so, like, I understand. I see, I feel like that's my family up there, you know. So love Coco, and Coco seems like such a sweet, just wholesome. I'm sure she's whatever, not completely wholesome, but just whenever she's being interviewed, she always seems so nice, so kind, so sweet. She always seems so gracious, and she just is great. She's just a great representation for America, for Black Americans. Love it. And thank you to the Williams sisters, because they inspired a whole generation of us to play tennis and all of that. So, like myself, I patterned my serve off of Serena and Venus. Like, I just copy off of like their serve motion, and that's how I learned, or that's how I serve, is just by watching them. And Serena, of course, is one of the best female servers. But anyway, so okay, my thoughts on the match and all of the backlash that has happened, because so Coco won, and Aryna had some comments as she was receiving her second place trophy. And every time, whenever there's a Grand Slam, people always give a speech afterwards. And she, as I was watching it, I was watching this live. As I was watching it, I knew Aryna was gonna do this, because she does this a lot. She did it for the Australian Open when she lost to Madison Keys. the gist of what she said was that she played a really bad match. Basically, like, it was just a bad day for me. Not that Madison is a better player than me, but I just played terribly that day, and she was better than me that day. And so, and that's not what she said verbatim, but she said something to that effect. And so I just knew when she got on to give her speech, I knew she was going to say something to that effect. And Aryna, one thing about her, so I actually kind of like Aryna just because she's actually like emotional and like she emotes on the court. She's expressive. A lot of tennis players don't really show much expression. And so, and she's a big hitter. I watch Christian's Court, I think his channel is, and he reviews tennis matches, and he calls her Big Linka, and I think that is so funny every time he says Big Linka. But it's fitting. She is a big hitter. She's a taller woman. And I also call Madison Keys, I call her Big Maddie. That's just what I call her. But again, she's a big hitter. She's a taller woman. And so I empathize with the other tall women. So that kind of made me like Sabalenka a little bit. But I will say, I think she kind of does the most when it comes to her grunting on the court and the exclamations. Every time she hits the ball, she has to like yell out, even to the point that she's still making noise when her opponent is hitting the ball. And I think it's a little much. Sometimes I wish they would give her like a warning or something, like that's like interference or hindrance, whatever they call it. But she always gets a pass on that. Her, Sharapova, it's very, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And Serena used to grunt too, but it wasn't to that degree. And Serena didn't grunt every single point. Like, Serena would start grunting like if she was like getting into it and was like trying to fight back, or she was trying to like like rally, like rev herself up, or whatever the phrase is. But she wouldn't do it like the entire match. But from the first ball to the last ball, Aryna is grunting, or whatever you call it, every time she hits the ball. And it's a lot. And I think she does that as like an intimidation tactic, because she's a very aggressive player. I would imagine, like, when I'm watching people play her, I almost feel bad for them, because it just looks like a slaughter. Like, how can you play against somebody that's hitting the ball that hard? Because they said Aryna, she hits the ball as hard as the male players hit it. Her and Madison, their forehand speeds are, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, if any of this is wrong, I didn't do any research or anything, but from what I've heard from just watching tennis, this is where all of my information is coming from. So if anything is wrong, please forgive me. But I think I've heard that her and Madison, their ground strokes are the same speed as some of the male players. So, or they're faster than some of the male players. So imagine playing against somebody who hits as fast as a guy and hits faster than pretty much anybody else. And she's grunting on top of that. And she has a tattoo of a tiger on her arm right here. Like, she just seems scary. Like, she just seems like everything about her just seems very intimidating, right? And so she was like the favorite to win this match, and Coco was kind of like the underdog. And so I was very much hoping, though, that Coco could pull it out like she did for the US Open a couple years ago, which I was so happy for her then. And so I was like praying, like, come on, Lord, let Coco win. I want to see Coco win. So yeah, I missed the match though, but I think it was amazing how Coco came back. And yeah, anyway, so I went on a whole tangent, but basically she got on the podium, and I think she made a remark about how she played really poorly. And some people were saying that was in bad taste to mention that as your giving your speech after playing. And then some people are making excuses for her, saying, well, she just played and they shoved a microphone in her face and they think it's cruel that she has to speak after losing a match. But this is normal for every single tournament that they play. This is what normally happens. This is what all the players do. And probably Aryna's been doing this since she was a young girl. And I don't know if they had to give speeches when they were younger, but maybe not. But I'm saying also say this isn't anything new to her. Now, of course, every experience is new, and she may not have played a match to this degree and had this level of emotion. But I don't know. I don't think that that's an excuse. I just think that Aryna is allowed to say whatever she wants, and I don't think anybody really checks her, right? Just like, yeah. So I think that she just doesn't realize what she's saying and the effect of it, because she never has any consequences. And I don't think there's probably anybody in her camp that's telling her, hey, you probably shouldn't make these remarks about other players' performances and saying that, oh, you only lost the match because you played badly, not because the other player is better than you. And her team is probably telling her that too in the back. They're probably saying that to encourage her, like, oh no, you're the better player. You didn't, it was just a bad day for you. You definitely could beat this player any other day. You're much better than this. This was just a bad day. I bet her team is like saying that to her. So then everybody's saying this to her, and so she thinks it's okay to say this. And also, I agree with people saying that deep down, Sabalenka thinks she's a better player than Coco. I agree, because I said this in one of my other videos. I feel like tennis players are always sizing up other tennis players, and we're always trying to like rank ourselves against other people and trying to determine, like, am I better than this person? I think it's just like a tennis thing, because it's such an individual sport. And so I feel like I do this even at my lowly recreational level. Like when I'm playing against people, I'm like not judging them, but I'm putting people in different categories. Like, okay, this girl, she hits volleys really well. Okay, don't hit a volley to her. Okay, this girl, she can hit an overhead. Don't hit overheads to her. Or this girl, her forehand is really good. Oh my gosh, she hits with amazing technique. Or, okay, this girl, she's not consistent, so just hit to her. If you hit enough balls to her, she gonna miss. You know, and you're kind of sizing yourself up, and you're like, okay, dang, this girl, she hits really hard and has really good technique. She's probably a little bit better. She's better than me. She would beat me. But then I'm thinking, oh, this girl though, she can't volley for nothing. She is not very consistent with her ground strokes. I'm better than her. I'm better than her. You know, that's what we do. That's what I do. So I think that's what Sabalenka, that's what the professional tennis players, I think that's what they do too. And Sabalenka was probably, you know, like, oh, Coco, she got that forehand. She ain't got nothing on me. She can't match my forehand. My forehand is faster than her forehand. You know, and I think she is thinking that she's a better player than Coco. And I think she thinks she's a better player than Madison Keys. And that's why she made that comment that, oh, I just lost because I was having a bad day. That's the real reason why I lost. And I mean, she did come back though. And the next time Madison and Sabalenka played, I believe it was at Indian Wells. And man, I think Madison lost like 6-0, 6-1. I think she won like one game the whole match. And I think that was a message that Sabalenka was trying to send. Like, you not better than me. You won the battle, but I won the war. Like, I'm better than you. In case y'all think she better than me, she's not. Like, I feel like that was a message that she was trying to send to people by beating Madison Keys that bad. And so I think she thinks she's better than Coco. Oh, and here are the comments that Sabalenka made that everyone was in an outrage about.
The conditions were terrible and she simply was better in these conditions than me. She won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls. If Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win. It just, like, yeah, it just hurts. Honestly, it hurts. Like, the conditions were terrible.
So yeah, those were the comments that she made. And also Coco's response, I feel like, was so amazing. Oh, and then also this is what she said during the speech, I think.
I'm sorry for this terrible final.
And then Coco's response was so amazing. Like, she was so gracious when they asked her, Aryna said if you would have, you only beat her because of this, and if Iga would have won, if you would have played Iga, you would have lost and all that. And the way Coco was so gracious, and she was even kind of like saying that, oh, Aryna didn't mean it that way, and giving her the benefit of the doubt, and just being so nice about it. Just shouts out to Coco, and she just smiled it off. It didn't seem to bother her at all. She didn't seem to be flustered about it. And shout out to her. I feel like she could have been rightfully upset about hearing that. But yeah, in typical press conference fashion, most people don't really say what they really feel. They say what they've been trained to say. So yeah, shout out to her though for not showing any little bit of annoyance or letting it get to her. It just seemed like she was high off of winning and not letting anything get to her. So that was amazing to see, because it seems like a lot of this is almost like trying to take away from her win, which I don't like. And like I said before, like going from Sabalenka crying to Coco, it's like you almost feel bad for Sabalenka, but it's like, why am I feeling bad for her? But that's the way tennis is. I think I said this in another video too. For somebody to win, somebody has to lose. And so there's always a loser. There's always a winner. Like, if there's a winner, there's got to be a loser. So somebody's best day is somebody's worst day in tennis. So it's a rough sport. But yeah, so yeah, just wanted to insert that clip, and then these are my thoughts about what she said. I think it's out of pocket to say that out loud, honestly. I think it's in bad taste. I think it shows a lack of respect for Coco. I was very turned off by those comments. I felt like the audacity of you to say that, and to say it with your whole chest too, and to not feel any way about it, and not even with like a caveat like, oh, I don't mean to sound like this. Like, you don't even know how you're sounding, and to feel so comfortable to say that. And then to say, she also said if Iga would have won when her and Iga played, if Iga was in the final, Iga would have beat Coco. Like, why say that? So now you're saying that you and Iga are better players than Coco, basically. That Coco, almost like saying you feel like Coco didn't deserve to win. That's what it came off as to me. So I was very disappointed with those comments, and I think that it was Sabalenka's second finals loss, because she lost the Australian Open to Madison Keys, and then now she lost the second Grand Slam of the year in the final to another black woman. I'm gonna say it. And another thing I want to say is, I don't like how I was watching the match. I saw the end of the match, right? And I saw them give their speeches. And I remember watching it, and I almost felt bad for Sabalenka because she was like crying, and what she expressed, I almost felt like I was being persuaded by her, like, maybe it was not a great match, and maybe she did play really bad, or I don't know. It's like you almost wanted to, like, I felt bad for her, but then it made it feel like, oh, like it made me almost feel bad for being happy for Coco because she was expressing so much emotion. And then I remember when they cut to the commentators, and one of the first commentators was Caroline Wozniacki, and right after Aryna and Coco were spoke, and you could tell that it seemed like Caroline was affected by what Aryna said, and that she felt bad for Aryna because she made a comment, and I could be wrong I could be remembering this wrong, but I didn't like the way she was saying how it wasn't. I think she kind of echoed what Sabalenka said, and she said like it wasn't Coco's best match, like Coco didn't play that well, that it wasn't great conditions, or it wasn't like a good match basically. But congratulations to Coco. And as I was listening to that, I just couldn't believe that she was saying that, because and framing it that way, because I feel like had Sabalenka won, there's no way they would have been saying Sabalenka didn't play well, but she won, congrats to her. There's no way that they would have said it like that. They would have said, oh my gosh, Sabalenka, she's such an amazing player. She's dominating. Her aggressive style is no match for any of the other women. Can't measure up to her, and she's just dominating the women's field, and she's proven herself to be at the top of her game. They would have just been singing her praises. They would have maybe mentioned a little bit of, okay, she was a little emotional, but she was able to reel it in and get herself together and close out the match, and it just shows what a champion she is. I feel like that's what they would have said. But when it's Coco that wins, it's, well, she didn't play very well, but congrats to her. Like, what? Instead of what I watched was Coco, and what the commentary I feel like should have been after watching this match was, wow, Coco, what an amazing comeback from her, playing one of the #1 player in the world, one of the most aggressive, in your face, intimidating players, to be down 4-1 in the first set, to come back and almost win the first set, to take it to a tiebreaker, then come back and win the second set, get in Sabalenka's head, get the balls back that most people cannot get back, which is probably what contributed to all those unforced errors that Sabalenka had, because Sabalenka probably isn't used to someone hitting that extra ball, and that got to Sabalenka. She's used to hitting clean winners and it being done, the point being over. But that doesn't work on Coco. Coco is fast, okay? She's athletic, and she can get that extra ball back, and you gotta keep going. And shout out to Coco for playing her game, playing a defensive game that took Sabalenka out of her game, and ultimately led to her being triumphant and winning the match, playing a game that trumped the #1 tennis player that most other people cannot beat. Shouts out to her for finding a way to beat someone who seems unbeatable, the Goliath of women's tennis. She's the David to her Goliath. Shout out to her for finding a way when she was thought to be the underdog in this match, and she didn't let that get to her. She didn't let being down 4-1 get to her. She kept playing 1 point at a time. Congrats to Coco. That's the heart of the champion. What a champion she is. Congratulations. That's what my commentary would have been. When I was watching the match, that's what I saw. Not, oh, this is such a bad match. Oh, she didn't play well. Neither of them played well. Oh, the conditions. And shout out to, I think her name is Chrissy Everett. She's a amazing legend. She's won like a bajillion Grand Slams. She's like an amazing player. Shout out to her. Then it went to her. They came to her for her commentary. And she was like, look, and this is Chris Everett, who's won, again, one of the legends in women's tennis from the 90s, the 80s and 90s. And she was like, look, she's a tennis player. She's a professional tennis player. She plays in all types of environments. It was windy, deal with it. Like, Coco was playing in the same conditions she was playing in. I don't want to hear it. That's not an excuse. I was like, you go, Chrissy! Chrissy Everett! Okay! I'm sorry if I'm getting her name wrong. I don't know why I'm like blanking on her name, but I'm like, okay, Chris. I like it. I like that. I said, she's right. And that's Chris Everett, okay? She knows. If somebody knows, she knows. And she said, no, that's not an excuse. I don't want to hear it. She didn't say that exactly, but that's kind of how I took it, what she was saying. That's not an excuse to blame the weather, and that Coco played excellent and Coco was amazing. And I said, good job, Chris. Yeah, I don't agree with Sabalenka's comments. I think that all the backlash that she's getting, I feel like it's warranted. I think she was able to get away with this because she said similar comments again about Madison Keys, and nobody said anything about that. And I remember like being like, how come nobody's mentioning this? Like, Madison, do you feel a way about her saying the only reason you won is because she played bad? Basically, she's saying, I'm a better player than you, but you just caught me on a bad day. That's basically what she's saying. I feel like certain players are allowed to get away with more. And also, I don't like how a lot of the commentary for Black players, I feel like it's a lot more harsh. A lot of times, like, they always come at Coco. They always talk about her forehand isn't good. They say her serves aren't good. Now, granted, Coco does double fault a lot. And her play can be kind of like up and down. But coming at her forehand, I never understood that. Like, okay, yes, maybe that's where most of her errors come from. And she has a very extreme grip. Like, Coco plays with the same side of the racket for her forehand and her backhand, which like literally nobody does because her grip is so extreme. Most people will play like you hit the forehand like this and then you hit the backhand like this, like you turn the racket. She hits the forehand like this and then she hits the backhand like this, which is crazy in and of itself. Nobody talks about that. Like, why are we not talking about these things, but how amazing these things are? But instead of talking about how amazing that is that she plays like that, they always talk about, oh, her forehand isn't good. Oh, her serves, and okay, maybe the serves, but I think the critique of her forehand, I think it's a little overblown and exaggerated because Iga Swiatek, who's number 5, I think, in the world now, she was number 1 like a year ago, but they don't talk about, she has the same grip. She holds the racket with the same extreme grip, and nobody says anything about her forehand. Anytime she misses a forehand, nobody says anything. They actually praise her for her forehand and how it's so whippy and effective. But Coco gets criticized for it. And then I also noticed another player that I don't like that they criticize is Tiafoe. They always say that, oh, he doesn't, he loses concentration or he loses focus whenever he's playing. And I think that's so ridiculous because how can you read his mind? How do you know if he's focusing or not? Like, literally in the match, if his play starts to dip a little bit, which happens for most professional tennis players, whenever I'm watching a professional match, usually it goes up and down. Like one player will be playing really well, and then sometimes the play will dip, and then the other player will kind of start to play really well, and then it kind of goes up and down. That happens a lot in tennis matches. But for some reason, when it happens to Tiafoe, it's his fault that he's not concentrating and he's not focusing. As if they know that what he's thinking and what he's like are they reading his thoughts? Like they can tell that he's not thinking about the match anymore? It's weird. Like that gets on my nerves whenever I hear the commentators saying that. And they never say that about any other player. I've never heard them say that about any other player. If they say they were winning, they won the first set, and then the second set they're losing, I never hear them say that about any other player but Tiafoe. Like he's not disciplined or something. And granted, I think Tiafoe himself has mentioned like sometimes he can lose focus, but I think he meant, I don't know. I don't want to speak for him either, but I just think it's weird how they throw that in there during a match as if you can read his thoughts. Like, how do you know what he's focusing on? So I don't like that they try to create that narrative around him that he like doesn't focus or that he's not disciplined. And the same thing, they say stuff like that for Sloane too. Like whenever Sloane is playing, they always say she's lacking effort or it seems like she's not trying hard enough. And I feel like that's just Sloane's play style. She's just not the gregarious, over-the-top, grunting type of player. That's just not her. That's not how she wants to play. And I think she's just more of a laid-back, cool. She's clearly a cool kid. I think Sloane is definitely like, that's just her swag, like how she is. But I don't think she's out there just phoning it in. I think she wants to win every match that she plays, and she's an excellent tennis player who's been able to play professionally for many years. So clearly she's done something right. And I just think that's crazy that they critique these particular players. I feel like extra hard, and I never see them critiquing other players as harshly as they critique those three players that I've noticed. So, and you can, deduce whatever you want from that. But yeah, so yeah, I would say those are my thoughts. It's all over the place. Sorry if it was like really hard to follow. But yeah, basically, I'm very happy and proud of Coco. I was disappointed with Sabalenka's comments, but I think she just said it because she felt entitled to say it. She's been saying stuff like this all along and nobody has checked her. And now she went even further and now she's getting backlash for it because we don't play about Coco. Now, Madison Keys, people don't, I guess, know about Madison. But Coco, we don't play about Coco, okay? We don't play about Coco. So, yeah, she knows now. Now she knows to not say nothing bad about Coco. She is a national treasure. So is Madison Keys and all the other American players. But Coco, don't speak on Coco. So yeah, I think it was warranted because sometimes people need to realize you can't just be saying anything and think it's okay. So yeah, it does kind of change how I view Sabalenka a little bit. I wanna like her though, cause like I love her the way I do like the way she plays. I like watching her matches and everything. Sometimes, but yeah. So thank you for watching. I think I'll end it here. And if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.